Happy Monday morning, Minties. This is the Uncanny Omar, and I'm sorry, it may not be morning wherever you are, but it's still Monday, so I guess that still counts. Today I'm going to do an advanced overview of the Black Widow Strikes Omnibus from Marvel Comics, so please stay tuned. Let's get started. And before I do, as always, I'd like to say a thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of the book. Here's what the spine looks like. The book is due out on March 25th in the direct market. So comic book stores, places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, and then everywhere else a couple of weeks later. So here's the back. It retails for $100. Here's all the contents of the book. Now, I've done an epic collection overview, the very first one, and there's a second one coming. And I believe both of those will pretty much be the exact same content that's in here. Maybe a few pages will be missing from the epics, like the extras in the back, but we'll look at that together. There is a variant cover, though. The direct market variant is that George Perez variant from the Marvel Fanfare cover, and then this is the John Tyler Christopher cover. The Black Widow logo, and then Black Widow Strikes, and of course her emblem in the back. Now let's open this up. Okay, you got red bookend pages, a lot different than the black ones that I've seen lately. Oh, they have the table of contents up here, her redesigned costume, and let's look at these fine folks here. The collection editor, Corey Sedmeyer, the book designs by Nickel Design Works, Sven Larson, David. Those are the folks that made this possible. Well, of course, the folks that made the collection possible, the folks that made the original stories possible are all here. My goodness, that is a lot of credits. Wow. There's a special thanks down here. Love seeing those. And then your table of contents, where you will find each page of these books. So, there is an introduction here by John B. Cook, who writes books and plays. Then we have her first appearance, Tales of Suspense number 52. This introduces us to the character of Natalia Alyanovna Romanova, or Natasha Romanoff, as she later is called. The Black Widow. First appearance in here, the Tales of Suspense, where she first appeared in Iron Man, and very much similar to the movies, she appeared in Iron Man 2. And as I've noticed before in the very first epic that I was looking at, her hair is red in her first appearance, and then her second appearance she goes back to this black hair. I guess that was not to confuse folks with Pepper Potts, who was already the established redhead in the Iron Man books. Let's flip a little more through here and then talk about the actual contents. And that content is quite a bit. So you have Tales of Suspense 52 and 53, 57, 60, 64, Avengers 29 through 30, 36 and 37, 43 and 44, Amazing Spider-Man 86, Amazing Adventures 1 through 8, Daredevil 81, Bizarre Adventures 25, Marvel Fanfare 10 through 13, Solo Avengers 7, Black Widow Coldest War, which is the graphic novel, and then Punisher Black Widow Spinning Doomsday Web, Daredevil Black Widow Abattoir, and Marvel Comics Presents 135. There's the Daredevil Annual number 10, Fury Black Widow Death Duty, and Journey into Mystery 517 through 519. That's after the series was brought back because Thor went over into the Rob Liefeld universe. And then material from Avengers 16, 32, 33, 38, 39, 41, 42. Odds and ends here, 47, all the way up until 76. And that what pretty much fills up this book. So if you've noticed, I just mentioned Black Widow in one solo title, and that was the Black Widow Coldest War. And we'll look at that here in a little bit. So about half of this volume is what was collected in the Epic collection, if you're keeping track of what's collected where. So here she is in her original outfit, which kind of mimics Hawkeye's outfit. And then she is given a rehaul when she later appears, because Marvel wanted her to appear in her own adventure, and that was in the Amazing Adventures books. And of course, this is all in the 60s, and there was a previous Black Widow before this, but it wasn't Natasha. So then we see her again. The next time we see her was in this issue of Spider-Man right here, 86, where John Romita redesigns her costume. So she doesn't look like this anymore. She looks like what we're used to. This outfit right here. Which a lot of people speculated that it was based on Emma Peel's character in The Avengers, the British show. but he claims that it was based on Miss Fury, because Marvel wanted her, to have her own semi-ongoing series, so he made it a little bit different. They obviously took off the cape. So, I don't know. I choose to believe John Romita, since he was the guy that redesigned it. So here she is in those Amazing Adventures books, which her adventure ended in issue 8. And then it continued on. And just like some of my subscribers told me, I forgot it continued into the series where Beast becomes the gray at first. Hairy Beast. Now we're looking at Black Widow and Daredevil, 81, where I think a lot of people are familiar with her character in Daredevil. That's the thing about Black Widow. Like, she didn't have an ongoing series. She didn't even have limited series up until the late 90s. So the collection is called Black Widow Strikes because there really wasn't a Black Widow series. She just appeared in random storylines. I'm honestly surprised we don't have more of the Daredevil comics in here, because I know she builds a relationship with Matt. Here's the Bizarre Adventures book. This is the black and white magazine that also had issues or stories with Jean Grey and Nightcrawler. I know because I used to pick those up. Let's get a little bit forward here. Skip a little bit. Here's the Marvel Fanfare cover, which is drawn by George Perez, as well as the inside of the book. Now, she was originally created by Stan Lee and Don Heck. But there was also a scripter, Don Rico, so I don't want to forget him. So this is what I was talking about when she gets a redesign in the 80s. And this kind of becomes her design in the 80s all the way up until the mid-90s, until, I want to say, The Crossing. Yeah, Joe Madureira designed her new costume during that run. So you have this outfit right here, which, of course, if you're an X-Men fan, this is the one that she's wearing in Uncanny X-Men 268. Here is her very and only self-titled graphic novel collected in this omnibus. This is The Coldest War, written by Jerry Conway and George Freeman. So there's a lot of talent that goes into this omnibus, though. You've got Stan Lee, you've got Jerry Conway, you've got Gene Colan, you've got George Perez, you've got John Buscema, you've got Ralph Macchio, you've got Roy Thomas, just to name a few of the creators that worked on this. And eventually Scott Lobdell did the Journey into Mystery series with her. But this is just some of that artwork. Oh yeah, that story arc right there. And here we have another graphic novel. This is drawn by Larry Stroman, who went on to do X Factor and then eventually The Tribe in Image, and then D.G. Chichester. I'm so sorry, I could never pronounce his name. He went on to write Daredevil. He's the one that wrote Fall from Grace. Man, Larry Stroman had this really unique art style, which I always enjoyed. Very action-packed, very anime-like, but I dug it. Now let's look a little further at this book right here. This is the one by Jim Starlin and Joe Chiodo. I always enjoyed Joe Chiodo's colors. He did a lot of pinups, some of the cards, but always enjoyed his artwork. And this is what it looks like. This is Daredevil and Black Widow Abattoir. So let's look a little more here, and then we have the Marvel Comics Presents issue. We have, this is, I believe it's the Daredevil Annual. This was already collected in one of the Epic collections. Okay, and here's the other graphic novel, Fury and Black Widow, Death Duty. And this is drawn by Charlie Adlard, who I'm sure some of you are familiar with because he did the artwork in The Walking Dead. Now let's look at the other series that probably looks so much different than everything else in this book, and that is Journey into Mystery. So after Thor was rented out or borrowed by the Image creators, Journey into Mystery came back in the original numbering system. So they started doing different stories of different gods, and then eventually they did the Black Widow series, or Black Widow little mini. This is only like 3 issues. So it's 517, 518, and 519. All written by Scott Lobdell and drawn by Randy Green. A very young Randy Green from what it looks like. And that takes us to the ending here. That's everything. Let's look at some of this original artwork real quick, and then we'll look at the binding. This is talking about how the art had to be toned down a little bit, obviously because she's in the shower. So that was the Gene Colan and Bill Everett. The book, by the way, has 896 pages and is due out on March 25th, like I mentioned. Retails for $100. I'm hoping that they sell enough of these to actually get all the other miniseries that came out in the late 90s and the early aughts in another omnibus format. That would be really cool. I would just really... There was some really good stuff that came out in those miniseries, including one that's coming up in a complete collection, and that's the Mark Waid and Sam Neill Black Widow storyline. Oh, there's Joe Chiodo. That's the way I always picture his art. The Ralph Macchio For Your Eyes Only intro from 1999. And then the John Tyler Christopher cover that you all saw. So, let's look at this binding. As I was flipping through here, you can tell that it was sewn binding. And I am going to do a video on how to properly open these up, because a lot of you have asked me to. And yeah, and I'll also explain some of the terminology that I use, so we're all on the same page. But there's that eye. It's very common. Actually, this is probably a little bit bigger than I've seen recent Marvel books, but there's not that many splash pages, but the few that are in here, they're really nice. You really don't have any gutter loss at all. Maybe his fingertips there towards the middle of the page, but that's really about it. And of course, towards the beginning, there really isn't any splash pages. Now, if you want to pick the book up, you can purchase it from cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you mentees, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was my overview of this omnibus. Please let me know in the comments down below if you're picking this up either in epic format, or if you're getting the omnibus, if you're getting both, or if you have no interest at all in Black Widow. Again, it's pretty cool. This is the very first Black Widow omnibus we've had. So hopefully the sales of this one will be good enough to warrant a second volume. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. We can be found on Patreon and Redbubble, and all of that information is in the description down below. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be Near Mint.